visual design lead at Idean Berlin, and somebody who finds himself trying to find the perfect balance between design thinking and design doing. That was Egil, by the way. So could you please welcome to the stage Francesco Pini.
Did you get the ice cream outside? So good. Love it. Such a tasty conversation tonight. Have you ever enjoyed something so much that the time just stopped and everything around you just disappeared? Do you know, guys, what is this building in the background? Does anybody know? You know? Okay, very good. Do you know where it is? Is in... Oh, wow, we have a badass audience tonight. Amazing. So it's in Rome. It's called Pantheon. And now you'll get why I'm talking about Pantheon. This summer, I've been lucky enough to visit Turkey for my very first time. I visited Ephesus, I visited Hierapolis, and in Hierapolis, this amazing theater really caught my eye. How beautiful it is, how unique it is. It's so unique that there is basically a carbon copy in Spain. There is another one in Palmyra, in Syria. There is another one in Orange, France. And there are theaters like that pretty much all over Europe and all over Asia. The Roman Empire was a huge organization. And they had an amazing branding. Like, look at this, S-E-U-R. How cool is that? I will speak a little bit of Latin now. I know it's very sexy, so I'll do it. This one stands for Senatus Populusque Romanus. That means Senate and people of Rome. So look at the typeface. It's very distinctive. Look at the Q. That was really unique. And it was delivered all around Europe and Asia, all over the place. You know, they had to have a strong brand because people were asked to die from Rome. They really had such a strong brand, but such a strong culture as well. And yeah, they had the myth of the founder. This is something that this guy is called Remo. This is something that we don't have anymore today, right? That's gone, we don't do it anymore. Going back to my lovely theater here in Palmyra, in Syria. Art and architecture were the Trojan horses that systematically made Roman cities all around Europe incredibly consistent. They were not really expressing their idea of how a city should look like, but they were actually expressing their core values. And what are those core values then? Again, a little bit of Latin. So let's start for the first one. The first one is called fides. Fides means loyalty and accountability. The second one is pietas, that means respect and patriotism. The third one is called virtus. It was connected to the value of the soldier on the battlefield, but then it kind of evolved. And then at a later stage, the meaning became goodness, like in a more general sense. Then we have gravitas, that I forgot in the meanwhile, that means respect for tradition. And the last one, majestas, is a very interesting one. It is very interesting because it's about the state and its dignity. Don't even dare to spoil any public architecture in Rome, because that would have been considered as an insult to the whole community. Like, would have been considered as a personal insult to the whole community. Think about a community of people who shares same values and decided to embrace a certain amount of values together. So I decided I want to make some friends tonight. So I won't ask you to read anything in my slides. So I will do it for you. I want to talk about Romanization. Have you ever heard about this? I don't know. Maybe yes, maybe not. But Romanization refers to the acculturation of people throughout the Roman Empire as they adopted the costumes and traditions of Roman conquerors. It was widespread throughout the majority of the empire. And this is like the empire at its largest version. At the height of the Roman Empire, in the early 2nd century, millions of people from Spain to the Levant and from Britain to North Africa were all adopting the Roman way of life. So think about how massive that process actually was. We couldn't really say that Romans were very good with digital transformation. Actually, they were kind of, but they were definitely pretty good with physical transformation. Can we say actually that columns, arches, were actually enablers of a process of transformation and change? We can say it indeed. But Rome was for sure a top-down organization, so forget co-creation workshops. Like, they didn't like it too much, honestly. That was not really their cup of tea. It was like, to be a Roman meant really to buy a certain mindset, a system of value. And it's interesting the way Romans actually dealt with colonies, because sometimes they've been extremely flexible, they've been extremely tolerant, and sometimes they just applied brutal force. But what are the foundations of the Roman design system? It's actually all built upon 3 main elements. So the first one is the arch, something that Romans actually learned from the Etrusci. That was like basically some guys that they conquered. Acquisitions. The second one were actually the bricks. And the bricks is this like reddish thing that you see. So I mean, the bricks were like, they went just crazy at the time, because like in Italy there was no stone that was like workable and resistant enough. And so that's the reason why you see like this red color all over the place. And this is Colosseum, which is like, I think, a very well balance between all these elements mixed together. And then the third one was actually concrete, and I will speak about this later. Look at this. So this one was called Centuriazione. This one was the master plan. So every time that something like that, the Romans actually conquered a new land, or if they wanted to build something in their own land, they actually were implementing a grid-based system that we can really call a smart grid, but it was like extremely rational and fairly well designed, I would say. And it was applied as well. And actually this one, like, it's real. This one is like an area in central Italy, and that still reflects the way it has been built by the Romans. And the same technique was, of course, used for building cities from the scratch. What is interesting about the Roman concrete, that it was eco-friendly. Actually, there are scientists today that are trying to recreate that concrete, because it was a kind of special, really, mixture between volcanic ash, I mean, you don't find it all over the place, we can say it, seawater, and another couple of minerals that actually made this concrete eco-friendly, because you don't have to, there are no emissions. There are basically no emissions to make it. And they're actually trying to do it again. But what happened then? So I'm here telling you, oh my God, these guys were so amazing. But why are not here all dressed like this beautiful guy here, you know, eating pizza? Yeah, because that's what Romans did? No? Okay, you don't believe it, okay. Don't be too stereotypical. Thanks, I appreciate it. So why? What happened? That's because of the Germans. It was all perfect. And then, yeah, guys, what the fuck have you done? We were having a great time. We were doing great design. Like, honestly, like that's badass design systems. And then you guys, like, okay, you know, we want to get something. fine, but like, wow, I don't know. So look at this, yeah, okay. But actually I can tell you something, that is not true. So yeah, you can feel better now. It's actually not true. You will find it very interesting, hopefully, that the reason why the Roman Empire actually fell is because of lack of motivation. Yeah, are you familiar with this? I think all of us went through this, right, in our life. And at a certain point, at a certain stage of the Roman life, really, people started, citizens started to think that the power and the leaders were very, very far away from them. Is it like, yeah, sounds familiar, right? I mean, it's not, we're talking about, not talking about populism, but I mean, you know what I'm talking about. So kind of many things haven't changed really so much. So the perception of leaders as far away, and basically the main concept that was the citizen as a soldier basically just broke. And the reason why is that there was no point for me as a citizen, to fight for you if actually there's nothing to fight for, and if I'm not get anything back. And for that reason, all these lovely guys that were like pushing, especially on the north side, they basically found just mercenaries. They were not Romans. And the Roman Empire was able to deal with that pressure for hundreds of years. But then at a certain point, when the motivation in the people, in the citizens, just dropped, they weren't able to deal with that pressure, with that disruption anymore. What I think we can learn from the history and from this little story is that it's not really about the capability. It's not really about the process. It's not really about the system, because that's what we do as humans. We always did that, and we will keep doing that. And is it new? No, that's how we are as human beings. And we'll keep doing it, but there are two things that make empires fall: people and culture. That's what makes empires thrive or fall. Thank you.
Wow. I'm a little bit speechless. That's just, yeah. Wow. Okay, let's get some feedback, guys.